Helped by the weather, we've had an outstanding incident-packed British Grand Prix at Silverstone. But a drive from Lewis Hamilton of outstanding quality. A victory over Nick Heidfeld and Barrichello by an astonishing margin of well over a minute 8 seconds. And from Lewis Hamilton, this is one of the performances of his young career. Kimi Raikkonen finished well in the points after loads of problems. Kovalainen, Alonso, Trulli and Nakajima complete the point scorers. But the likes of Kubica and Massa out of the points today, and this is what it does to the Drivers' Championship. Lewis Hamilton coming from 10 points behind to now share a three-way tie at the top of that championship. Hamilton, Massa and Raikkonen together on 48 points. For Mark Blundell, what a drive from Lewis today.
That's a fantastic drive. I'd probably say one of the best drives I've seen him in his Grand Prix career to date. Because of the pressure that he came here with, because it is the British Grand Prix, the amount of press and the negativity, what's been attached to him over the last week or two, and he's proved everybody wrong by doing the job, and that job was to win this Grand Prix, and he's done it in style.
And because of the wet conditions, it was also constant pressure from the start to the finish. Anything could have gone wrong.
Anything could go wrong in those conditions, but it didn't for Lewis because he made sure, and you know, I have to say it was a faultless performance. He didn't go off the road with any problem whatsoever. A lot of guys made mistakes out there. Some of the big boys, Massa, 5 times spinning around, but Lewis, nothing at all.
Lewis, of course, started from row 2 immediately behind Mark Webber. Did you expect him to be quite this aggressive at the start?
You know, he was very smart here because he saw that gap open up on the inside next to the pit wall and he slid in there. But Kovalainen, give him his due, he stuck with it and went round the outside, and a great piece of driving by the pair of them. You saw Kovalainen get completely sideways there, grabbed a handful of lock. But very good stuff indeed. It's very difficult at this point now. Lewis is stuck right behind Kovalainen with visibility near to nothing. But a great start for all the concerned, those 2 front rows.
And with Lewis Hamilton in the spray, you'd have thought he might have settled for that and just gone behind Kovalainen for the next few laps. But he kept up the challenge, he kept up the aggression.
Yeah, I think Lewis knew that he had to get out in front and he had to make it count. You see how close it was there, the pair of them nearly colliding. Just watch Lewis here, look how this gap opens up. He just slides down the inside. The other 3 are squabbling on the outside there, but Kovalainen still hangs it out. That is very close indeed, and he gets completely sideways. Lewis would have probably had to back out of it at that point.
And the self-belief that Lewis needed for that move and those moments, extraordinary given everything that's happened in the last few weeks.
Yeah, but that's Lewis Hamilton, isn't it? I mean, we're just talking about some great names earlier in the show, the Sennas, the Schumachers, the Prosts. The only difference between those guys is they're world champions. This guy will be world champion, and it won't be long before it happens.
So he kept the pressure up on Kovalainen, and down at Stowe, there was a sort of Mansell-Piquet kind of move.
Yeah, something we've seen before, the classic move down the inside, hanger straight into Stowe, just gets momentum there, slipstreams him, tucks it down the inside, very clean move. Kovalainen left the door open in many ways, but I mean, once Lewis had got past, he was on his way.
The other talking point of the day, apart from Lewis Hamilton's extraordinary demonstration of wet weather ability, Ferrari's tactics. They got it so wrong.
Very strange, very difficult to understand, because Kimi Raikkonen actually caught Lewis up on that first stint. Was very quick on those intermediate tyres. Looked like the tyres were really in, the right choice for the track at that point. But they came in, they left them on. I don't understand why. A lot of the other guys had. A lot of guys had the weather forecast coming, looked like rain was on its way. They could have at least changed to the same tyre and given themselves half a chance. Very costly.
Yeah, and it was a bad day for Ferrari all round. Felipe Massa having extraordinary problems.
It was just like a spinning top, wasn't he? Every time we saw something red on the circuit, it was him going around backwards. So very unfortunate for Massa, but that's very costly for him in the World Championship.
Well, let's have a look at that pit stop that you were talking about. Ferrari came in, they didn't change, but it was a pit stop full of drama anyway, wasn't it?
You know, at this point, it's only 1.2 seconds between Lewis and Kimi Raikkonen when they came into the pit. Raikkonen actually short-fueled slightly. I think there were about 3 attempts less on the fuel going in, and you can see Raikkonen's back out into the pit lane now. Lewis comes back out, but the big difference now, Lewis has got fresh intermediates on, Raikkonen's kept with the same tyres. And as soon as they went out onto the race circuit, Lewis pulled away, he put some outstanding laps together. I think his first lap out was 2 seconds quicker than Kimi Raikkonen. And then after that, the gap just got bigger and bigger.
And then the rain came and Lewis was on his way to a quite extraordinary victory. Let's hear a little bit more about it from the man himself. He's in the press conference right now.
Lewis, you started the season with a win. You won the Monaco Grand Prix, but now the moment's yours. Let's savour the moment. Describe your emotions on that slowdown lap of having won, finally, the British Grand Prix.
It is definitely, it's by far the best victory I've ever had. I think it was one of the toughest races I've ever done, and I believe strongly, as I was driving, I was thinking, if I win this, this will definitely go down as the best race I've ever won. and not only because of its history, but on my home ground, but also I think I drove probably one of the best races I ever did. But I was coming to the last lap, and I could see the crowd beginning to stand up, and I was just praying, keep it on the track, just finish. And you could not imagine the emotions that are going inside. I wanted to push. I just wanted to get it round, and we did. The team did a fantastic job, really. And I want to dedicate this one to my family, because, as you could see, I've had some troubles over the last couple of weeks, and it's been really tough. But as always, family are always there for you, always give me support. They're all here, and I remember before the race, my brother said, "Don't worry about it, you'll be fine in the wet." So, a big thank you to them.
A stunning win by over a minute. Great moments, but lots of difficult moments too. Let's talk about some of those. The pressure from Kimi Räikkönen early in the race, the decision about whether to switch to maybe extreme Bridgestone wets when the rain really started to fall, and generally the conditions out there on the track, lapping slower cars, and actually being passed by Rubens Barrichello when it got really wet.
Yeah, it was so extreme out there. I think it was probably as extreme in some cases as Fuji last year. Obviously, there wasn't as much rain, but there's such tricky conditions. The first sector may be dry, then or not so bad. And in the second sector, you could see big droplets of rain on your visor. I was having big problems with my visor. I couldn't see a thing, especially the right side was fogging up. So always between turn 1 and 2, I'd have to put the visor up and clean it on the inside, put it back down, and then I'd have to do it again before stow. And I had to do that for nearly every lap, just to be able to see, especially when it started to rain. And when Rubens was catching me, I didn't even know. I couldn't see in my wind mirrors. I could barely see out my visor. All I could hear was the tone of 2 engines, my engine and someone else's. And for a second, I thought, oh, God, just let him pass. So I stayed on the inside and braked early, and he came flying down the outside. So, but it was so slippery. It was so tough. It was a real mental challenge.
And when it did start to rain, what was the thought process on staying on the Bridgestone wets rather than perhaps changing to the extreme wets?
Well, fortunately, we started on new wets, new intermediates or new standard wets, and then we had a scrub set available, which we were looking to use. And obviously, it got pretty tricky out there. But fortunately, the team took the decision. I just focused on making sure I didn't make any mess-ups and mistakes. And they were fortunate they were doing such a great job in analysing the weather forecast and making sure that we were on the right path. And so, as I said, it's a big thank you to them.
Well, and congratulations to you. A sensational result
you.
For you and the British fans. And we'll come back to you with another question
Sure.
in a minute or so. And Nick, congratulations to you. Your second place of the season, or third podium of the season. What a recovery for you personally, and equally for BMW Sauber team after it looked to be a relatively difficult build-up to the race.
Yeah, I don't think you can say a recovery, because 2 races ago we had a 1-2. I hope Manicourt, the previous race, was a one-off. Here we did look a lot stronger. I seemed to get over my qualifying problems, and then just had a good race today.
And very, very quick in the middle phase of the race, putting pressure on Lewis to some extent in terms of stopwatch times. Tell us about the conditions then and how the car felt for you.
I think you could see during the whole race that there were different drivers quick at different times. In the beginning, I couldn't hold Alonso. I think there you could quite clearly see which drivers are harder on the tires and heat them up better. So a bit later, he struggled when it got drier because his tires were destroyed. Mine were still alive, and that was why I, in certain phases, was pretty quick.
Very difficult to manage the pit stops and the tyres for those changing conditions.
Yeah, it was very difficult. Before the stop, we were discussing it on the radio. They said it should only be a short shower, but I was going down Hanger Straight, and I thought, how could that become just a small shower? You know, it was so dark and the rain was getting stronger. So I told them, I think we should go on new inters and don't keep this ones on. But I said, this is your decision, you have the better overview. And then luckily we chose new inters, which I think was the most important thing today.
Congratulations, a fabulous result for you and the team. And Rubens Barrichello, first podium finish for Honda in 08. Your first podium since 05, unbelievably. And it happened with Ross Brawn again in difficult conditions here at Silverstone. A bit of the old magic again.
Well, you know, it's fantastic. I've never lost the belief that you know, I have in me this speed and everything. Obviously, it was a lucky day with the weather and so on, and it seems to always happens to me in a way, because I love the weather, the wet weather condition and so on. But it was a perfect race. We had a minor problem on the pit stop that for some reason I stay there. I think I had the fuel already, but they just didn't let me go for some reason. But that was the minor problem, because I think it was the very right decision for us to take the wet weather, the extreme wet weather, and I could see. I mean, I was passing people from the inside to the outside, and it was just magic. And so I thought that was a good decision, because I ran off track a club and I almost hit the wall. And it was club and Abbey, the most difficult ones. So for me, I took the decision. I was already there. I said, I'm coming in, and I'm coming for the extreme.
A great call. In terms of where you've been for the last 18 months, what does this podium finish feel like for you?
Well, I've always said, I mean, you know, the team knows, maybe not the outside knows, but I have this great feeling. I mean, it's like I'm young. It's like I'm smiling to the problems. It's like I'm working more. I feel that. You know, I just love the sport. I just love the speed. I cannot live without that. So it's not that I'm wanted to prove to Ross that I'm physically capable. I mean, he knows that I have the speed, and I want to keep on racing. I want to take the chance to say very much thanks, to dedicate this race to my kiddo, to Eduardo, because yesterday he saw how tough it was to be 16th, and he said, "Oh, that I'm gonna pray for wet for you to get on the podium tomorrow." So how magic this is.
Absolutely, the man upstairs looking after a lot of people today. And Lewis, we return to you, big smile on your face still, of course. Now, technically leading the World Championship, a three-way tie, 48 points, but you have it in a tiebreaker at the moment. That's a great thing to say. But beyond that, just tell us your emotions when you drew the curtains this morning and you saw what the weather was like and you prepared for this Santander British Grand Prix.
To be honest, this morning I wasn't feeling great. But it wasn't until I got to the track and I spoke to my family and then I was feeling great. I saw some kids. I got time to see some of the fans at the gate, and all this was giving me energy. And all of a sudden, I had so much energy. I think it was from doing. You know, I went to the Paddock Club. I went to Mercedes-Benz Club, and I got to get so much energy, so much support. So I really have to say a huge thank you to all the fans here, because they have been incredible all weekend throughout. And really, without their support, we wouldn't have done this. So I can hear them outside, and I'm looking forward to seeing them. But it's the best weekend ever.
Yes, the best weekend ever. 90,000 around this Silverstone circuit would certainly agree with that. So Lewis Hamilton elated at his day's work. We'll get the reaction of his father, Anthony Hamilton, in a few minutes' time, and get more reaction from down this Silverstone pit lane as well. We're back right after the break. Ambition achieved for Lewis Hamilton here at the British Grand Prix. He's won at Silverstone with the most extraordinary display of wet weather driving, and Mark Blundell and myself have been joined by a man who's felt the tension more than anyone else, I should think, this afternoon. Anthony, well done. Try to put this performance and this win in the context of the last month, really.
Well, I think in the context of the last month and also his whole career, this is clearly the best by far. You know, I watched him up there on the in the press conference, and he was itching to get away from there to jump up about it, because I'm sure, you know, he's waiting to get back to see the family.
But he was also careful to dedicate this victory and this performance to the family, because...
Oh, did he? Okay, didn't hear that.
He did say that, because he said clearly that they've all been through so much during the course of the last month. How bad has it gone?
Well, it's been extremely tough. But what I do want to say is that you know, what I hope Lewis stands for is, you know, giving other young kids and other people. I hope we stand for giving other families some inspiration, some hope, and whatever it is, you know, if you have a dream, you need to try and achieve that dream, because today Lewis has achieved the dream of winning at Silverstone. It's huge.
And if you can fulfill that dream, you get the right to celebrate like this. What do you feel it does to his championship now?
Well, the championship's one thing. I think to his mental stability, I think it's huge for him. He'll come back to the next race, feeling like, he's got a real opportunity to win the championship. There's a long way to go with the championship, obviously, and anything can happen. I think the best thing that Lewis can do is to just focus on doing the best that he can at each round and hope that, the results come his way.
Anthony, we've spent a lot of time together over the last few weeks, and we do know that there's been those pressures in the system.
Yep.
But as you say, just tell us really, what have you done with Lewis? I mean, your father, your manager, just tell us what you've actually gone through the last couple of weeks to just pacify him and tell him where to head.
If I'm strictly honest with you, there are no words to express what we've gone through in the last month. I couldn't begin to start telling you. All I know is that we arrive at each race the same way that we arrive at all the other races, and we just hope that Lewis is allowed to get on, do his job, be the nice guy that he is. We hope that people allow us to be the family that we are. And, the talking is done on the circuit. And today, Lewis spoke volumes.
Well, we can see from the way that you celebrated as well, Anthony, that it was a release of pressure not only on Lewis, but on yourself as well.
Went a bit mad there, didn't I? That's not normally me, OK? And I don't actually fancy Norbert, but that was an extremely emotional occasion.
Yeah, you had every right to celebrate. Of course, what happens now is the expectation starts to increase once again. He's got to handle that.
To be honest, there's no difference between expectation now and expectation from this time last week. The pressure is within Lewis. The greatest pressure is he's a racing driver. He wants to win. There's nothing outside of Lewis's mind that's any greater than the pressure he's experienced inside his mind. And today, he handled it extremely well.
Yeah, and through the halfway point of the season, he's back in a share of the championship lead. Fantastic.
That's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll have that.
Terrific day. Congratulations,
Thank you very
Anthony.
much, and
Pass our
thanks to everybody
congratulations
else.
on to Lewis. Great day for
Thanks.
McLaren as well. Pretty bad day for Ferrari and Felipe Massa in particular. We can hear from him.
Felipe, tough day for you.
Tough is not enough, so I'm very disappointed for the race. So many mistakes. Already the weekend started in a very difficult way. With Friday the crash, yesterday the problem on the qualifying, on the pit stop, and today a race like that. So it was not definitely my weekend. But the championship is open. We need to think about next race and forget what's happened today.
Why so many mistakes? I mean, you were spinning around out there.
Yeah, I remember a little bit the race in 2002 when I did here. It's so many aquaplaning, I couldn't stay straight, and just so many mistakes and difficult to explain.
This is all a bit of a wake-up call for Ferrari today.
It's a big wake-up call, and you have to say they've just been beaten by a McLaren which beat the field by 66 seconds. They made a couple of bad choices. They've got one guy who's out there who's spinning around 5 times on the circuit. Very bad weekend, and they've got to go away from here and try and analyse how they go forward. We all came here thinking Ferrari were going to be the strong package, and it looked that way for a while, but boy oh boy, McLaren showed them.
Fantastic to see Rubens Barrichello back on the podium here. Fantastic to see Honda on the podium as well, and we can hear from Honda's Ross Brawn.
Well done, Ross. Team's first podium since 2006. A mixture of good calls from the wall and good driving from Rubens.
Yeah, no, Rubens had a great race. Really pushed when he had to. Middle of the race was fantastic, and a bit like old days. And the team did a great job as well. Some great calls in the race. We had the right tyres at the right time. We were just discussing, we had a problem with the fuel rig, which really probably cost us second place. So that's frustrating, but we shouldn't be too greedy.
The important thing for the team, though, is to be doing this on a regular basis, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have the equipment at the moment, so we don't have the car we need. But if we can work like this, when we do get the car we need, then we're going to be able to compete.
What are those races? I mean, when it rains and wet and dry like today, you always hope that you can grab something from it, but how confident were you that you might be able to do that?
Well, obviously the first lap was very good, but we didn't have a lot of pace, let's say equal pace with other cars at the same time, etc. We didn't look that special. But I think when we got on the deep groove wets at the right time, we really took off. And what was impressive, I have to say, was Lewis's performance in that part of the race, because he was on intermediates. And I don't know how he did it, because the rest of them were 10 seconds off.
And a word on Jensen?
I don't understand what happened yet. We just got the car back. We need to have a look. But obviously he went off. But we didn't make sure there wasn't a problem with the car, or I haven't spoken to him. So it was a shame.
Thanks, Russ.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to feel for Jenson Button, because in the wet today, this was a huge opportunity, wasn't it?
Well, we tipped him at the top of the show at Honda, Barrichello especially because he's so good in the wet, and Jenson normally is, but he's had a bit of a bad day in the office. Rubens just an old hand in these conditions, and I think he did a tremendous job. And I think this is a special one as well. It's not normally the way you celebrate. We just jump into the crowd. It's more like at a pop concert.
Well, he celebrated even harder than Lewis Hamilton and McLaren, and great relief to Honda and a great moment for Rubens Barrichello as well. Let's talk about Nick Heidfeld, who brought in the BMW in second place, who didn't expect too much from BMW, but he drove his heart out today.
You know, a great race for Nick Heidfeld, and I have to say as well, the only guy on the circuit to make a couple of overtaking manoeuvres where he overtook two guys in one swoop. And just watch this here, he just tucks himself up behind Raikkonen, slips down the inside of him, and he makes a really clean move. He's got the grip, finds it. Kovalainen is actually going by Raikkonen at this point, and Heidfeld goes 1 Ferrari, 2 McLaren. Fantastic move, and I think actually at that point Raikkonen may have even been thinking about coming into the pit and got blocked off.
Absolutely, but it all brings us back to Lewis Hamilton. It's extraordinary to hear even the likes of Ross Brawn admit that he was amazed at the way Lewis could perform on those intermediate tyres.
To have somebody like Ross Brawn paying a compliment like that, having worked with 7-time world champion Schumacher, it shows you where Lewis is at, and it shows you that the potential is there for him to be a world champion. It's just a matter of time. We just got to wait. But you know, this is a guy with immense ability and feeling as well for a circuit. You cannot imagine how difficult it is to keep going lap after lap, corner after corner, with variable conditions, not actually knowing how much grip there is available to you. Somehow Lewis does it time and time again.
And such a brave call from McLaren not to go onto those full wets.
Well, I think there might be something in that the fact they know that the car works the tyres a little bit harder than most, and they probably overheat those full wets very quickly. But, you know, saying that, the pace that Lewis did on those intermediates was outstanding. Some 3 or 4 seconds a lap quicker than everybody else.
Well, if you want to celebrate Lewis Hamilton's British Grand Prix victory even further, he's at the Goodwood Festival of Speed next weekend, and then Hockenheim. What happens there?
I think we're in for a real special treat there. You've got the power of Ferrari straight line speed, but you've got Mercedes home advantage in many ways. So let's see whether the German crowd can lift McLaren.
Yeah, the championship is in fantastic shape, isn't it?
A freeway fight now for the title, and I think it's great to see that many guys at the front there.
What a day at Silverstone. You can relive all the highlights a little later this evening. We're on the air ITV1, 11:15 tonight, repeated at 6 o'clock on ITV4 tomorrow. At the moment on ITV4, it's day 2 of our coverage of the Tour de France. And the next live motorsport is the resumption of the British Touring Car Championship at Snetterton. That's on ITV4 next Sunday. Next Formula 1, 2 weeks' time, we're at Hockenheim for the German Grand Prix. Qualifying live at lunchtime on Saturday, the race build-up from midday on Sunday. And we can't wait after Lewis Hamilton's sensational performance here at Silverstone. What a drive, what a race, what a championship. Lewis wins the British Grand Prix. Here's to a bit of rain at Hockenheim. From us all here at the British Grand Prix, from us all here at Silverstone, it's goodbye and go off and celebrate. A great win for Lewis Hamilton.